I could not, I had no interest in doing this today, as in making the video, and honestly, no interest in doing the rehab. But that's all the more reason that I should do it. So today I am now 5.5 weeks post-op, and so what I can do is I can increase the range of motion now on my left leg, my worst leg. In theory, I can go up to 45 degrees. So what that would look like is from here all the way to about there. It would help if I unlocked it, wouldn't it? All the way to about there. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to go to 20, just like I did on the other side. And then on my other leg, it's at the minute I can have it up to 60 degrees. But I've got it set currently at 40 because I don't want to go too fast. So that is 40 degrees. 60 would be all the way there. And then next week, allegedly, 90 degrees, which is like that, which just seems absolutely mental. So what I've been doing is looking at the angle of this, and then when I'm actually moving, trying to hit that target range of motion. I can't see how I can keep up with the timeline that I've been given. But the other thing about the timeline that I've been given is that I haven't actually been told to aim for them. That's just what I can go to. So I'm just going to do what I can. There's not much in the way of research on bilateral quad tendon repair, rupture, rehabilitation protocols. There's one piece that I managed to find from asking lots of people basically, and obviously actually searching myself as well. And so in that there was basically no long-term functional outcome difference between the two, between longer versus shorter. So I suppose if I end up doing longer, it's not the end of the world. At the minute, it just seems like it's going to be impossible to do it because the range of motion is so bad, and it's just like my leg is just lead. So what I've been doing is a few different things. So there's active and passive stuff. So active stuff is when I'm actively moving it. So actively lifting my leg as high as I can, and that's actually not too bad. So when I say about not doing rehab, I've been doing some of the basic stuff multiple times through the day, but once a day I've been doing a rehab session where I'm like making an effort. That sounds bad. It sounds like I'm not making an effort. I'm doing one of the rehab sessions that's more like training than just rehab. That's the one I just had no interest in doing today, which is unusual. Usually I'm very much like just want to crack on and get stuff done, but for some reason today I didn't. Although with that said, the last couple of days it's been really hard work moving my legs just in general, but not just moving my legs in terms of like actively, even like passively, me just getting about has been really hard work. So it might just be that I'm just a bit more fatigued than usual. Oh, did that work? So like today, so it's evening now. It's late afternoon, evening. It's about 6:30. So today went out for a long-ish ride, maybe out for like an hour or so. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I'm just contracting my quads at the minute. Went out for a longish ride. Actually managed to like, I would call it like a quarter of a pull-up. Did a couple of quarter pull-ups we found on a park. There's like one of the kids' things that's like monkey bars, but there's one part of it that's slightly lower that I could just about reach. So I think we're going to take some gymnastic rings there, so I can try and do some pull-ups. There is a strap on that, but it came broke. So I was strapped in, but I was coming out of the chair. So that's obviously not ideal. So the next thing that I do is some passive stuff, and also some holds. So passive things, as in like actively moving my leg myself. So what ends up happening is I get to a certain range, and my knee, it just feels, it's like it just doesn't move. And then when you go into the new range, if I do it passively, so right now, if I passively lift this, it feels like this part of my kneecap here wants to just split. And if I actively push it, it's my patella tendon at the bottom that feels like it's pulling my kneecap down, and then the top feels like it's just going to rip. And so it's the thing of like, is that the discomfort from the operation, or is that potentially causing harm? So that's obviously a difficult one to reconcile. And then the next thing I'll do is actively hold it at the top of the range of motion where it's uncomfortable, but it's not that pain. And I'm not taking any pain relief at the minute, so I'm not masking anything. And again, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but basically my leg will just start shaking. And it's not even like it feels like fatigue from exercise, it kind of just dies off in ability to hold it. And then now the whole knee just aches, it's just like uncomfortable. And I mean, you've been potentially watching this and you see that I've hardly done anything so far. Now the next thing that I've been doing is, it's outside of this session, but basically what I've been doing, I'll tell you what, I'll just show you. Let me grab this. So I actually don't have a shaker with me at the minute, but I've been using a protein shaker to do this as well, which helps, but the blanket works. So basically this has been some passive range of motion stuff. So all I've been doing is putting my leg into the end range of what I can currently do, if not a tiny bit past it, but then letting it rest on this whilst I do other stuff. So I do this for 20-30 minutes a couple of times a day, just so it's getting used to being in that higher bend. Now I've got a foam roller, but that's too big, so I need to get something that's like an intermediary step. I must have something somewhere, so I need to get something that's an intermediary step. Now that's doing that, this is actually going to be the first time of actively trying to lift this leg, like on purpose. And that's it for today. There's just enough space to get my hand under my kneecap, so we'll do 10 of them. Yeah, not good. But next week, like I say, is back at the hospital. In theory, based on the post-op notes, I'm allowed to start full weight bearing on my right leg on Sunday, so 3-4 days, which seems mad, and touch weight bearing on my left. But then, if you think about it, you don't actually need your quads to be doing anything when you're just stood up straight, because you're stacking your weight over your bones and joints. With that said, I've not been stood up for more than 6 weeks now, so that's going to be fun. I'd imagine it's going to be uncomfortable on the feet and the ankles. This leg is just fully fatigued, so I aren't going to passively stretch this one today, with it being the first day of doing it. So it's going to slowly and gradually build up. And then the next thing that I'm going to be adding in is, so obviously I've just left this under here, but the next thing that I'm going to be adding in is I need to, that'll do, I'm going to get one of them, bear with me a second, is, so from this position here, if I try to extend my foot, that's what happens, basically nothing. And the other exercise that the physio had told me would be something that would be valuable is a straight leg raise. I can't hold my knee with my quad to keep my leg straight to do a straight leg raise, but with the brace on I could try, and basically what ends up happening is nothing. Thought I could do it the other day, but I was wrong, it just didn't work. So anyway, the next thing that I wanted to do was, with the bending of the knee, is, instead of doing it actively against gravity, I'm going to use this so that I can do it sort of against gravity. So I'm going to rotate myself onto a side, pop this between my knees, and then try and bend my knee more. So rather than it just being gravity that's against my knee, I can actively use my hamstring to pull back, and that's significantly less painful. I mean, the range of motion there is not huge. It'd be good if I should just get a protractor out, as if I could just go and grab it. I should get Rachel to get me a protractor out. But from this position there, there's a tiny bit more of a bend there, so that's a good thing. So from here, there's like, if I'm trying to use my quad to straighten my foot back out, nothing is happening. Like, I'm trying, I'm not just being lazy. So that's super frustrating. I can feel my quad is contracting here. I'm not putting 100% effort in. So if I gradually add more effort, it just feels like the top of my kneecap here. It just feels like it's just gonna rip. Like, it just is uncomfortable. And the thing is, with not seeing the surgeon again yet, I don't want to. There's a fly on here. Just trying to get rid of that. Slow fly. With the surgeon, with not seeing the actual surgeon that did the operation, since the operation, I want to double check with them what I'm doing before I end up making anything worse. Anyway, I'm going to go through all this multiple times, but not on video, because it's probably very, very boring. The next thing, which is like a new skill, if you like, that I've unlocked, is, so there's the parts of this which are the practical things. So like using the bathroom is actually a big issue, if you like. So I use the commode. Using it is fine, but obviously I have to wipe and clean everything afterwards. So the way that I would do that is I have to basically lean over and do everything. But literally this morning, new skill, I can hook my toes. I mean, I can use my hands to do it, but the reason it's useful with the toes is if my hands are covered in soap and like soap and water or whatever, I can do this where I can rock onto my side here, and then as long as my leg stays straight, so my weight stays kind of forwards, I can lift my leg up to the side. I can't get it very high, but I can get it to a decent height here, which then means that it's easier to obviously wash stuff and things, which is good. But what I'm going to try and do is what I was just saying before about being against gravity. So if my leg's there, so my foot is now resting on that, hold this in position there, and try to bend my leg back, and then there we go. I straightened my leg like this much, like the tiniest little bit there, so I can do it now. This is the first time I've done that, so that's progress. With all this stuff, it's just regressing to a state at which you can do. So here we have something that I can do now. If I can use my quad to straighten my leg there, so that to me is a huge positive, because I can use this as an actual exercise now. So it's something I can actually progress moving forwards. And then on the other side, I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to pop my braces on both legs, and then do some of the abductions, because then I can just lock the braces into extension so I can't move. But anyway, that's good progress. What I would like to be able to do, something I'm thinking about trying soon, it sounds silly, but it's to roll onto my front, because then I can do press-ups. And if I can do press-ups, that obviously makes training much better. If I can do press-ups and pull-ups, that's basically full upper body session, but obviously I can't at the minute. So then the next thing, what was it that I was going to do? Oh, I was going to show you about the straight leg raise. So if I grab the brace that's for my right leg, I'll also at the end of this video, I'll put the sped up version of how I get into the wheelchair. I don't know if I put that on before, but I'll put the sped up version of that on so you can see it if you want to, and see the process that goes into it. So it takes, I think it's 6 minutes, so it's not crazy. I had already spanned myself around in the bed, which takes time. But yeah, it might just be worth it for someone, if someone else is in the same situation. What I found useful is to take off one of the legs so it's not in the way, so you don't have to basically try and lift your bum up and over it. You just can avoid that part. So with this leg here, what I do is I put these, I basically only wear these overnight if we're going out in public, or if I'm trying to do something like new. I guess it's just like for the confidence of it. But what I do is when I wear them overnight, or even when we're out in public, I have them a lot looser, because I'm just sat, and especially overnight they're uncomfortable and they make my legs deformed. But basically you can see there, if I lift my leg as much as I can, that's 40 degrees, so I'm hitting that target. And then this will be a big effort. Oh. Oh, so close. That's so frustrating. So like, it's just across there. It's so close. Like I can feel that my heel is like just grazing the bedding, but the pain here just gets higher and higher and higher. Is it easier? It'd be easier laid back, won't it? So I don't know if you can see my heels off. It's just a thing of like, is that pain okay? Is it not okay? The pain's like 1, 2 out of 10 most. But so I still don't want to damage anything. So it's a difficult one to know whether or not to push it, which is why I need to speak to the surgeons, see what they say. So it's only another week, and then hopefully it's touch weight bearing. But like I say, if the end outcome is the same either way, then I'd rather go slow anyway. And it's not just me being lazy, I don't want to re-rupture. As I'm sure nobody would in this situation, but like, I don't have a rush to get back for some reason. It's not like it's my full-time job to be an athlete or anything like that. So yeah, that's 40 degrees there, and I'm managing to get myself to there. So actually, let's try this. Since I'm allowed up to 60 degrees, and next week will be 90, let's try put this on 60. Sorry, 50, not 60. See if I can get that extra 10 degrees actively. So that feels alright. Still not quite there, because look, there's a little bit more give there. I wonder if... No, so that's bringing that pain. So it's bringing the pain a bit higher this time. But that's just about at 50. So on this side it's at 50, this side it's not. But obviously I could make it a bit tighter. So potentially I could passively be here at 50 degrees, which is not too bad. So then if next week is 60, 70, 80, 90 and so on, because 90 degrees doesn't sound like much, but like in your legs, that's more than enough to walk. It'll be stairs and things that are going to be an issue. But anyway, I'm going to crack on and do more of this stuff. I'll put some music on, because to be honest it's a bit boring and don't have anything in particular else to say about this. Other than that, I didn't want to do it, and that because I didn't want to do it, I was like, well, if you set up a camera, then are you really going to sit there and not do any of it? Because you're going to look very silly. Even, I mean, I could just not upload this, but I don't know what it is like. I would look back at it and be like, why didn't you do it that day? You know? Anyway, now I do want to do it because I've started, as with most of these things. Yeah. Right. I will start again back at the top with some holds, run through that. So every round for this side, I'm literally just doing the squeezes and the small raises rather than anything else. And then we'll go from there. Good thing now as well is I can get in and out of the house myself if I need to, as long as I've got the chair. The chair doesn't even have to be here, it just needs to be within reach of where I can grab it, because I can move everything else. I can get into the kitchen now. Like, I can't cook and manoeuvre around properly, but I can get in and out, and get in and out of the house fine, in and out of the garage fine. Cooking's a problem, obviously, and I can't get into that side of the house because the corridor is very narrow. But anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. It'll be good when I can start doing more of these bits. So I will put the thing of me getting in the chair from earlier so you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And then I have lots of technique reviews still to do, which I'm working my way through. So you'll just have to wait for me to get them done as and when. I could do with like a hands-free selfie stick type thing for when I'm moving around, because it's a proper hassle, like trying to set up the tripod and stuff. So that would be handy. If anybody knows of anything like that exists, that would be great. With that said, I will see you, I don't know, whenever I make the next video. I just finished, and now there's like just an ache everywhere from the bottom of my patella tendon up to the middle of my quad. It's like that on both sides. That's what it's like. Now try and eat more, and that shall be it. Yeah.